Welcome to the Vantage HR Influencers Podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Vantage Circle, the simple and AI-powered rewards and recognition platform for employee engagement.
Over the last couple of decades, the business partner concept has dramatically evolved from roles and outcomes to a logic of how HR delivers value. Business partners have more opportunities than ever to impact business success. Especially during the pandemic and post-pandemic world, we have seen immense opportunities and various ways in which businesses and HR functions are evolving to meet employee needs in a unique way. In today's episode, we shall know what the key tenets of business partnering are and how this has evolved over a period of time. Let's get started. Hello listeners, welcome to Vantage Influencers Podcast. I am your host, Gautam. We are back with yet another exciting and enlightening episode, and the topic for today's discussion is partnering with business to deliver value. To give us detailed insights on this topic, we have with us Bhargavi Kakunuri. Bhargavi Kakunuri is the HR Director, India Procter Gamble Consumer Health Organization. Hello Bhargavi, welcome to the show.
Hi Gautam, thank you for inviting me to this podcast.
We are surely delighted to have you with us today. But before we can go ahead with the discussion of the topic for today, would you please brief us about yourself, because we want our listeners to know more about you as to what you do, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are you as a person. So we would love to listen that from you.
Sure, Gautam. I have close to 18 years of work experience, although not all of that has been in HR.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very interesting story that I'd like to share. I started working at the age of 17.
Mm-hmm.
My first job was in Indian Railways as a booking clerk in a small town called Seru. It's in the border of Karnataka.
Yes, I know that.
I used to work in shifts and study. I completed my distance education in commerce. I'm also a cost accountant. I then decided to apply for a position in Comptroller and Auditor General's office, and I got selected as section officer.
Okay.
And it was an interesting role too. I audited performance and accounts of many government companies. It was a hardcore finance role, which I did up to 4 years. At that point in time, I wanted to pursue an MBA course, and I got an admission in XLRA Jamshedpur in their HR course. And switching from finance to HR was a complete leap of faith for me. I interned in P&G and have been with P&G for 10 years now. It's an amazing company, that provides a lot of multiple opportunities to learn and grow while able to make an impact. I have done close to 7 roles in last 10 years. Right from working as an HR business partner in plant, to managing HR operations, to managing a divestiture for the company, leading sales and supply network HR for P&G India, and the current role as HR Director for P&G Health Organization. I do think that I've finally found a path with a heart.
Wow.
Personally, there are many things that I'm really passionate about in HR, but there are 2 things that particularly stand out to me. One, I think, is the opportunity to work on really complex problems.
Mm-hmm.
Simple problems get resolved at individual manager levels, or policies and processes of the company to take care of these. But the most complex of the problems, like crisis, difficult employee situations, team effectiveness challenges, org design challenges, where there is no simple, straightforward solution that an Excel sheet could give you, bubble up usually to the HR, and it's very satisfying to work on some of those problems with the teams. That's one. And the second is definitely the ability to have an impact on the organization and business. There are several ways, you can make a difference to the people and the business you work with. When I look back on my career, I had so many opportunities to work on programs that really, truly touch people's life and create business value. And this I find is a meaningful purpose that, really makes my work less of a job and more of a passion for me, and makes me come to work every day. I hope that covers a lot of it, Gautam.
I think that was truly impressive, Bhargavi. And, I was looking at your LinkedIn profile and I did not get much bio of yours. And I think this was completely a surprise to know that, to hear this story from you that, that truly inspires many people, I guess. And I think we are truly delighted to have you with us today.
Thank you, Gautam.
So, to begin with, to kickstart our conversation, we have taken the topic, on business partnering as to partnering with business and how it delivers value. And for my knowledge, I have very less knowledge about this topic, and I think you'll be a better person to enlighten me on this. So what is business partnering, and how would you like to describe it?
Business partnering reminds me of, the poem Man in the Arena, or The Women in the Arena, from the famous speech of Roosevelt.
Yes.
Maybe I can repeat part of it for effect for you. So it says that it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marked by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiant, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. So you are never a bystander, you are in the arena when you are a business partner. And I know I make business partnering sound like going to a battle, but I can tell you that if you do it well, you exactly have the same feeling of the women in the arena.
True.
But in concrete terms, if I have to explain, what business partnering for me is, I can pick up three broad outcome areas on how you can operate and serve business better. One, I think, is partnering with business for deliberately growing outstanding, diverse business leaders. That is the first outcome to work on, and it encompasses activity systems which include talent development, deliberate staffing efforts to build leadership pipeline, equality and inclusion efforts of the organization, building effectiveness in leadership teams, for example, and driving database decisions to build across your talent metrics. So all of this comes under how you build outstanding, diverse business leaders, right? That is the first area. The second area of business partnering will focus on designing future-ready organizations. And here, identifying what your core capabilities are for your organization. For example, if it is innovation or consumer centricity, and building on those core capabilities, or identifying emerging capabilities that serve business need. So that's one part of it. And secondly, how would you bring those capabilities to life? Whether you will build, borrow, buy those capabilities, how you redefine your organization structure, how do you make roles multifunctional, multidimensional, so that you can bring some of these to life, capabilities to life, exercise, the second area of work. And the third and the most, I think, widely known area of work is how do you build high performance and engaged organization and culture. The right culture and employee engagement solutions that can really bring long-term business success are the third area of work that we do in business partnering, broadly defining it that way.
Wow, I think that was great, Bhargavi. I got to learn something more about business partnering, because I used to think that it's more or less, how two businesses or three businesses can partner with each other and work together. But, your insights has truly, given me more insights on as to, what business partnering can really do and how it helps in employee engagement as well. So, being in HR, you are the HR director at PG, at PNG, and, so how is HR better placed to partner with business than other functions?
I do think that every function has a role to play in the overall business setup, especially in the current scenario, where actually work doesn't happen in silos, but more broadly in multifunctional teams and function agnostic roles, right? But however, I see that HR, by virtue of the role, we have a wider lens or canvas where you're responsible for the organization or the business unit. This, in my mind, provides us with a better vantage point.
Okay.
You are able to view the entire organization as a system, as like a jigsaw puzzle on how everything fits together. And how, for example, the strategic priorities, the activity systems, the structure, business processes, the management habits, and, for example, the mindset of individuals, how all of this fits together so that you see delivering results, right? And you are better able to see where things are broken, and what are some of the levers that you could use to, sort of make changes in the organization. Your ability to see what's broken and what's the root cause and how things interact with each other is much better than anyone else in the organization, is what I think, and hence our ability to create a better impact.
So, when we speak about business partnering, and considering you have so many years of experience, as an HR and into business partnering. So, what about, if you have any tips for those new to HR and how they can build the skills for effective business partnering? So, what would be your words and your tips for the new HRs?
Sure. I think the first one will be to understand the business first. I would say don't fall into the trap of jumping right away into the day-to-day work. Try to learn the business first, then define how you can, as an HR, make the biggest impact. And this will be not part of your standard onboarding program. You will have to be curious. You have to set up some time with colleagues across all work groups to understand their work, key metrics that they are responsible for, how the value chain works, the business model, and how the business works, right? In fact, I would say sign up for yourself for a business project and do it for a deeper understanding of business. So in order to break the rules, you must first master them, right? So I would say understand first. The second, and this I learned from one of my business partners, stakeholder, is that you have to be courageous and bold. In my company, it's called as taking smart risks. So don't be afraid or ask question or to question the status quo, right? Believe me, those who are in the system are often very blind to possibilities, and your question may open some new doors and new perspectives. And it's not always easy. You will make mistakes, but don't be afraid to make mistakes, and don't be afraid to be in the good books always of everybody. I would say have a growth mindset and don't settle in without disrupting something is what I would say.
True.
Third, I think is understand your stakeholders, and influencing is a critical skill for HR. And it's important that you understand your stakeholders and try to build this skill deliberately from the beginning. So those were my tips.
Well, I think so. Maybe, a trial and error method can really work in this matter, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. And, how? So basically, when we speak about business partnering, how is it really important for company culture or company performance? How it helps enhance businesses, basically.
I do think that HR business partners can be huge value creators and game changers for business, right? True partnership is both an art and a science. We can bring the right balance between what and how of business, balancing the interests of individuals and organization with the interests of business. You can do this in the most harmonious and symbiotic way, and HR business partners can enable this to happen.
Okay. Thank you, Bhargavi. And with this, we are slowly approaching towards the end of this conversation. So, in the end, how would you like to conclude your thoughts on business partnering and how it improves company performance?
Sure. I think finally every business is made of people, right? Every organization has its employees at its core. And this is where HR plays a pivotal role to ensure the core is intact and the policies and processes are humane. As the ones you are impacted by them are humans as well, like all of us, right? So I would say enjoy the ride.
Sure. So, Bhargavi, if in case our listeners would want to reach out to you, or if they want to contact you for further assistance, so how can our listeners reach out to you?
You can reach out to me on my LinkedIn at Bhargavi Kakunuri.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much, Bhargavi. It was great having you with us today. And we really had some amazing responses from you on business partnering, because this topic is something that, I think a lot of people think that it is very general, it's very generic, and we do not want to know much about it. But your insights truly changed my perception, and I think it will change our listeners' perception as well. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Gautam. It was delicious speaking with you.
Thank you. And with this, we have come to the end of today's episode. And stay tuned for more such engaging and enlightening conversations only on Vantage Influencers podcast. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Vantage HR Influencers podcast. Please do subscribe to Vantage HR Influencers podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and our YouTube channel for new episodes.